Welcome back to Big Asian Energy. Have you ever felt like the more successful you become, the less space there is to fully, truly be yourself? Like you have to perform strength instead of actually living it. The question that I'm really bringing to mind this today is what if the idea of bringing more vulnerability and realness, our authenticity, is actually not something we had to hide, but rather the most powerful thing that we can do? And today we are talking to Misa Chien, who is a model turned founder who's built multi-million-dollar businesses, truly an empire, and now helps Asian American women lead more authentic, not perfectionist or performance-based leadership. Misa started her journey nearly flunking out of UCLA, got scouted as a model, and then co-founded the Nom Nom Truck at 23-year-old and turned it into a food empire that got featured Great Food Truck Race. She later built Autopilot Reviews, a SaaS company that helps teams close loops with real-time customer feedback. And during her time at Harvard Business School, Misa realized how few spaces existed for Asian American women to not just show up, but show up fully as themselves. And this was the insight that led her to start The Authentic Asian, a private community with over 250 women reclaiming their voice, their presence, and their leadership.
Yep.
She has been also named as one of Inc.com's, sorry, I'm going to come back to that. She has also been named as one of Inc.'s top 500 women entrepreneurs. And join us. I'm going to get that right the next time. She has also been named as one of Inc.com's top 500 women entrepreneurs. Join us as we dive into talking about imposter syndrome, identity, and the way that we show up, and showing up as ourselves is actually one of the smartest business and leadership moves you can ever make. Welcome to the show, Misa.
Hello, I am so happy to be here. I've heard so many great things about you and your book, John. So it was really exciting when we were connected, and it just felt right to be here.
Oh, you are a perfect fit for everything that I believe in this world. So I am so excited. And I just want to start with you facing. If you're listening to that intro just now that came in, and it sounded like everything was great, Misa had to sit through me doing it over 3 times as I made mistake after mistake.
No one's perfect. No one's perfect. We all make mistakes, and we have to accept that. And often I think in Asian culture where, it's all about saving face, and it's all about, not admitting you're wrong or you can make mistakes, but I'm all about vulnerability here.
Well, that's perfect, because there's definitely a lot of imperfections in how it is that I run things. But I really want to dive into that as a topic because, for somebody who talks a lot about imperfections, the reality is that you have a very impressive background. I mean, Harvard Business School aside, I mean, the 20 under 20s, 30 under 30s, being mentioned by Inc. as one of the top 500 female entrepreneurs, these are all huge accolades, not to mention the empire that you have built. I would love to hear, in your journey, where have you encountered, let's say, the biggest imperfections or areas that are less impressive in your own story?
Oh gosh, I think it's really interesting because I really believe that success is fully built on failure, and it's like pain is gain in a way. So, the food truck was really my first big break, and I didn't realize it at the time. We grew so quickly, and I remember we're the youngest members of EO, which is businesses that reached 1 million. I think I joined EO at only 24 years old. But it's so crazy because we looked like we were crushing it, right? I got Inc. 30 under 30 in Inc. magazine, Entrepreneur of the Year, Forbes Women to Watch. We were watched by over 20 million people on the Food Network. But what's funny is that I felt like such a failure all the time because I couldn't take a salary. I was modeling on the side. So it's like, ended my food truck shift, did a modeling shoot, then went back to the food truck. I was working over 100-hour weeks with nothing to show for it because all of my modeling money was being funneled into the food truck. And with food, you're lucky if you make a 5% net profit margin. And so, but we were losing money. So we had, $1.5 million going through the bank account, and I lost $5,000 that year. Like we weren't even breaking even. because we were making so many mistakes. But also the food truck, unless you only do catering, it's really unprofitable, even if you do really high numbers. So, people would see, um, a line of 50 people and be like, man, you're crushing it. You're doing great. And I'm like, yeah, but none of that money is going to us. And it was such a wild ride because it was a very tough business. I had a huge falling out with my business partner. Our relationship really turned toxic towards the end. And it's just like I crashed so freaking hard. And at the same time, right as we closed, the Board of Equalization targeted us and the IRS. And I remember them telling me in the office, they were like, how do you not make any money? We saw your lines. We saw how much money went through your bank account. You're lying. And I'm like, no, we are not lying. Like, I promise you, I would have that money right now. And so I had to successfully fight off both audits. And finally, I showed them all the numbers. I said, look, there's no money here. But it was years. Not only did the business, I had to close it because of the toxic relationship, but like we lost all this money. I lost over $100,000 in modeling savings. Like it was just, it was so hard. And, a lot of people ask me like, how did you keep going? I just, entrepreneurship runs very heavily in my blood. I come from an entrepreneurship family. And I still remember I went to my dad. I was so scared to tell him that I failed because he's an entrepreneur as well. And he said, it's okay that you failed. It's very un-Asian of him. he said, it's okay that you failed. I think because he's, that's what he would have wanted to hear. And because he went through entrepreneurship and a lot of failures. Now he's successful, but through a lot of failures. And so, and it was so nice to hear that because that's kind of what kept me going and kept me curious and kept me hungry. And I just kept modeling to get out of the debt. And my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, he was so kind. He it makes me tear up. He saw how miserable I was. I had so much trouble getting out of bed every morning. Just so much trouble. Like my whole identity was gone. It's like my baby died. Luckily, I didn't have kids at the time. So that was my baby. It died. My whole identity as an entrepreneur died. And I remember I had different entrepreneur friends who tried to take me to events. Patrick Lee, if you're listening to this, thank you. But he was so worried about me because like I couldn't get out of bed. And so the way that I get through anxiety and through sadness is I execute, but I had nothing to execute on. Like modeling is not challenging your brain that much. And so then my husband entered this business into a hackathon and it changed my life because we ended up winning the first round in Santiago when he's in Santiago and he submitted it. And then we went to the global finals and 1 out of 300 projects around the world and won our first funding of $50,000. And so it was a wild ride after that, but like I kind of needed this distraction and this excitement of raising money in Silicon Valley and having that focus to like put energy into. It's almost like birthing another baby.
Oh my gosh,
to get over. And it took me many years, not until I found the authentication to fully get over my failure of Nom Nom Truck.
Wow. That's a very deep story. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
And I can imagine, I mean, the loss of a business. A lot of people don't realize this, but like for entrepreneurs, your business is everything. It's not just a job where you show up from 9 to 5 and you exit. Like you live and breathe it every single moment. And I can especially imagine being in the food industry where traditionally those razor thin margins and that can weigh so heavily. So having somebody who, like your husband, first and foremost, go husband.
Yeah, I think he kind of knew what I needed. I was in denial. I was like, nothing's going to get me out of this. And he kind of knew what I needed. Yeah.
Yeah. Was it just the new project that you really felt like lifted you out of that state and that spiral?
I think it was the only way, I just felt like such a failure. And a lot of stuff happened with the previous toxic relationship with Nom Nom Truck that just really tore me down, really tore me down. I had to go to therapy for many, many years. And there's an additional layer of it, which is dyslexia. So I have dyslexia, and for many decades of my life, I was ashamed of it.
Mhm.
I was told I was stupid a lot in school. I had a previous relationship where I was told I was stupid a lot. I never thought I was smart. And it really, I actually ended up going to Harvard Business School because I felt like I needed that accolade to tell me I was smart, you know? Uh, and even when I was going to Harvard, I didn't feel like I was smart at all. Like I kept putting myself down until I remember I was at the grocery store and someone went up to me and said, "Oh, what's that H hat stand for?" And I said, "Oh, Harvard." And they're like, "Oh, do you go there?" And I said, "Oh, I'm currently earning my alumni status there. I'm attending their executive education program." I said, "Oh, wow, you must be smart." And then I wanted to tell them,
Yeah.
"No, I'm stupid." And then just catching myself about to say that openly, I thought, okay, well, maybe I am smart in my own way. Society, school didn't tell me, like, just because I didn't get great grades, like the typical Asian all A+ grades, it
Mhm.
doesn't mean that, and just because I don't fit that mold, I just have a different
Mhm.
way of thinking. And like fully accepting myself as a leader and
Mhm.
as a dyslexic thinker and embracing that. And Richard Branson helped me a lot with that. I love following him with that.
Mm.
That just really, really changed things.
Mm. I can imagine. And like what a again, I can't imagine what it's like to sit there and kind of be in Harvard Business School and still holding that mindset. I mean, I feel, put so much pressure on ourselves, especially around intelligence as a value. This is such an Asian thing. Like education and intelligence is almost, I would feel like, specifically traditional education structures so heavily valued that it becomes your entire life's identity.
Mhm.
I worked a lot with students when I built Mastery Academy, and which was basically trying to get students into schools like Harvard. And the amount of pressure and the stories that I feel like a lot of kids are, I would say, introduced at a very young age, like getting into a good school means that you are a success as an identity. As
Well,
if like once you're done, once you've gotten into, MIT, Harvard, Stanford, or whatever, like that's it. Congratulations, you've won life. So the alternative to that of like, oh, I didn't go that path is therefore I'm doomed to failure. I'm not smart
mm,
enough. I'm not capable enough. Now, you help specifically women and Asian American women kind of get over beliefs like this. Is that a fair kind of assessment about the authentic Asian?
oh, yes. I really believe that we have a lot of limiting beliefs.
Hmm.
I had so many, and it's a result of a lot of cultural things in our background, but also what society puts on us as well.
Mm.
So, just
Tell me
for
more.
Asian women, so I took the Women of Color and Leadership course. That's one of my final courses and programs at Harvard Business School.
Hmm.
And that's when all of these biases from society were unveiled that Asian women have to deal with. So, we're inaccurately perceived as quiet. So if
Hmm.
we speak up in the boardroom, for example, it's kind of shocking to people. But we're also taught
Mm.
to be submissive by our own culture as well, whether
Mm.
through filial piety or just being the first daughter, so many things. And then on top of that, Asian women cannot be perceived as both kind and competent. And so that's a big issue I have. At a
Hmm.
most recent networking event, a non-member went up to me and she said, you originally reached out to me when you first started the Authentic Asian, but because of the way you looked and you look so warm and beautiful, I just didn't think you could be good at business. And so it's like, even it's kind of crazy
Wow.
because yes.
Wow. Okay, can we just take a moment to address that? Because, like, holy shit, who says that?
Oh
Was
yeah.
this somebody who was
You
an
won't believe
a
the
person?
stuff that non-members say. I'm like, you're not getting into the community. I have them on a list. um,
Banned.
because it's just, it's Yeah, it's really hard when it's from your own race, because I feel like sometimes our
Yeah.
own race are the most critical, and it's like we're on the fucking same team, dude. Oh, I don't know if I
Oh
can
yeah.
cuss here,
Oh,
but
for sure.
but
Yeah,
it's just
because we carry that, right? Like we carry, we carry so much of that conditioning in somebody. When somebody challenges that, I feel like there is a pre-existing, crab in a bucket mindset sometimes that shows up of like, well, you can't
oh,
succeed
crab
unless
mentality. Yeah,
you fit into what I think a success should look like,
it's
and it
so
could be
yeah.
so destroying.
It's so hard. And there's something called race trader. So I know all these different terms because I've been through the ringer, let me tell you, over the years with business. So things just kept happening to me. I was like, is it because I'm Asian or is it because I'm a woman? And like crab mentality exists. There's something called race trader. So when criticism comes from your own race, especially your own race and gender, is
Hmm.
very, very harsh. It's way harder
Oh yeah,
than if I get it just like from a white man, because it's like, oh, okay,
yeah,
they're so much different than me.
yeah.
And so that's really hurtful. So it takes, I've had to build a really thick skin in
Hmm.
protecting the community, onboarding interviews, making sure women are really kind of the right mindset. I mean, I
Hmm.
have a billionaire in our blacklist. Like if they are not in the right mindset and a good fit, it's not okay to let them into the community, because we've been through
Hmm.
so much. Just things kept happening to me in business where I'm like, what is going on?
Hmm.
Um, I
What are some
joined.
examples of that?
Okay, let me. God, where do I start?
Well, do we
So,
want to start with today or this week?
uh, Um, I mean, so it's just like, so imposter syndrome kicks in a lot. So that's a big thing
Yeah.
that just a lot of people of color experience.
Mhm.
And so when I first I got this huge entrepreneurship accolade in college. I had built a six-figure business out of my dorm room, a jewelry business. And I
Mhm.
got to a pitch competition. Literally everyone there was a white
Mhm.
male except for me. And so things
Wow.
kept happening to me where I had the same traction as everyone else. But I would go on a bus and I would sit next to one of my white male counterparts and he would just get up. He didn't want to network with me. You
Mhm.
know, just I kept trying to make inroads with some of the men and they just weren't taking me seriously.
Mhm.
And then it's funny because the ones who were very kind and were sponsors, those actually ended up being the ones that were the most successful, like insanely successful
Of course.
men selling their companies for tens of millions, of hundreds of millions of dollars in Silicon Valley. And so it kind of shows that compassion, and I don't know, I almost believe in karma in a way. But,
Mhm.
like those types of things kept happening. And then as I progressed again, what else happened? In Silicon Valley, that was a huge awakening, huge.
Mm.
Um, I had to raise money, and an investor brought in his prostitute in the meeting, and had me pitch to his prostitute and invited me to a sex party after. That was one of the situations. And when I told anyone, they were like, it's like almost they put on me like I did something wrong. I'm like, I definitely did not hint at
What?
any of that. And
In what universe is that?
oh, so
Yeah,
much
because
sexual
obviously you
harassment, so
incited.
much sexual harassment to this day, to this day.
Oh my gosh.
This is why I mostly enjoy just doing business with women and Asian women. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, so that was one example, but then other things happened. Like things would trickle
Mhm.
in. Let's see what else. I had recruited a male mentor who asked me at the end of my pitch, are you going to pitch as the cute Asian or the tiger Asian? Um, yeah, just
I mean,
things kept
I
happening.
like to so hold on a second, because this could be potentially, just out of curiosity, a very socially aware question, right? It's satirically awareness of the fact that, yeah, Asian women are almost only allowed to fit into
Yes,
the
kind
tiger
or competent. You
or
can't be
panda.
both. That's why we
Yeah, you're
can't
either like
get
a
to leadership
cutesy little
positions.
like, oh hi everyone, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm really good at math, and you're like you have these two, like it's almost such a horrible caricature of what you're allowed to be, but yet is still to this day, I'm still seeing it constantly. Like, are you this or that? So was he aware of this or was he just perpetuating it?
Um, I still haven't asked him to this day. I'm almost curious to ask him. I actually cut off ties after that statement.
Yeah. So it sounds like it probably wasn't a consciousness type
I mean,
question.
yeah, he kind of just said it nonchalantly, but it really fucked me up, honestly, because
Of course.
I just, I decided to play into that tiger Asian, even though that's like, I'm very competitive sometimes, but I just started, getting so self conscious about my femininity. So I
Mm.
would wear glasses. I bought a lot of Patagonia gear. Tried to dress very masculine. But
Yeah.
the thing with that is that people know when you're not being authentic. And so
Mm.
I really tried to play into this stereotype, thinking that that could help
Mhm.
me. But in the process, I really lost my authenticity.
Mm.
And I hid the fact that I was a model. I quit modeling, which is sucks because that's a whole other side of income that I could have made. Um,
Sure.
and so it just, yeah, I was like ashamed of the way I looked. I really wanted to cover up my femininity, my beauty. I felt like it could really hurt me.
Mhm.
And it's just unfortunate that I had to hide so much.
Mhm.
And
So
so, yeah, I really lost my authenticity with doing that. And then something else, things just kept happening, little things. I joined a female entrepreneurship group and it was supposed to be like the 3% club because only 3% of female founders can raise money. But what happened is I came to them with a problem I was facing with an investor, and it was all white women in the room except for one Asian woman. And I thought the Asian woman would be my biggest sponsor. Just naturally, I was like,
mm,
"Oh, we're
yeah,
sisters, you
like you
understand what."
understand what I'm going through. You
But
understand what it is. Yeah.
yeah, but instead she was just so cold. I mean, the harshest critic. And so when that happens, when there's so few of us in the room,
Mhm.
then and there's so few of us at the top, what happens
Mhm.
is if that person isn't on your side and instead they're on the other side, it
Mhm.
actually hurts even more than if it was just a white woman or a white man.
Mhm.
And so, like many years later at Harvard Business School's Women of Color Leadership, my Harvard Business School professor, who's also a member,
Mhm.
God, I love her. She's just an expert at Asian women and what we're going through. She
Mhm.
explained this is that it's called race traitor. And
Mm.
it hurts your heart. It
Mhm.
messes you up.
Mhm.
And that's
How
what
does
a
she
lot
or
of
how do you
Asian women go
define
through.
that term? Sorry to
What?
interrupt. How do you define that term now? Like what is just for those who are listening who may not have heard that term because it obviously has a self-explanatory element to it, but what are the nuances of what it means to be a race trader?
It's just when, say, if you suddenly have an Asian female boss, you're an Asian female, you're the only two in the
Mhm.
company. Like you're excited because you're like, oh my God, this woman is going to be my mentor. Like you make
Mhm.
assumptions.
Yeah,
And the
because they
problem,
understand you. Yeah, because they
yes.
look
And
like
you're
you.
like, we come
Mhm.
from the same culture. We've been through all this
Mhm.
shit. The
Mhm.
problem is that sometimes because of culturally the way we're brought up, I mean, like in my family, for example, I'm going to write this in my memoir. I have a memoir coming out with Penguin Random House in a couple of years.
Amazing.
Uh,
Congratulations. That's
Thank
huge.
you. That's
We're
how
gonna
I
be
heard about
publishers,
you.
buddy. Yay! My book is also Penguin Random
I
House.
know. That's how
Love them.
I heard about
Yeah.
you. So on just going to Asian culture a little bit, like
Mhm.
on my grandfather's wedding day, my great grandfather who was dealing with the Chinese mafia a lot, he was like, best friend kill you, don't trust anyone, best friend kill you. And so it's this mindset of like every man for himself, every woman for
Yeah.
herself. And so
Yeah.
that can seep into us, when we
Mhm.
get to the top, it's like crab mentality.
Oh,
And
100%.
so it's so hurtful though, when you've worked
Mhm.
so hard to get to a leadership position, you're like, oh my God, the one other person here who can understand me. And then
Mhm.
instead they're your worst enemy. God, it just hits you so badly. And that's happened to me
Yeah.
multiple times.
Oh,
It's
wow.
really hard. It's really, really hard. So now I'm just always cautious. And I really only trust the women in my immediate community I built because I'm like, I've vetted all of you. I know you're all cool.
That's so sad, but also such a beautiful, I think, affirmation of why it is that communities like the authentic
Mhm.
Asian need to exist is
Mhm.
it's true. We don't always have that built-in safety. And I've heard this. This is not the first time I've heard it by any stretch. I've heard it from so many Asian Americans in corporate or, entrepreneur spaces. It's that like the closer you get to the top, the more you see that there's this essence of like the Asian seat on the board. Like
Mm.
you had a board and
It's
like
like
we
the
have
one
the
Asian. Oh,
yeah,
okay, we
you have
got
like
the
that
person of
one
color
Asian
there. Check, check. It's like an Asian man or
yeah,
woman. Check.
100%, especially, and I do think that I witness this more with East Asians than South Asians, for example. Like
Oh yeah.
I find that a lot of Indian community, like they'll hire their own people and support their own
Mm.
people, whereas with East Asians, there's a sense of like, oh, I have to protect my place, so I
Mm.
need to be extra. Like it almost they see you more as a competition because the mindset is there can only be one Asian seat.
Mhm.
And if somebody else gets it, then I don't get it. So there's this
Mhm.
quiet and invisible gatekeeping and competition that I often see the higher up you go.
Yeah, it's really rough, and I think it's a combination of society creating it, but also culturally sometimes how we're brought up too. So it's a
Yeah.
combination of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to let you know that Big Asian Energy is officially out and you can go and pick it up anywhere you buy books, Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, etc. If you've ever felt like there's something stopping you from reaching your full potential, if you've ever felt like you want to have that unstoppable charisma and confidence in the work that you do, as well as just the way you show up in life, this might be the book for you. It is a book that is jam-packed with research studies, advice, case studies, stories, and of course, so many different techniques and takeaways, including communication, as well as mindset, as well as confidence, and all the other topics out there. It just won one of the best books of 2025 on Amazon. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go take a look. And finally, if you have a few seconds, can I also ask you to leave a quick review for Big Asian Energy? It not only means the world to us to hear from you, but more importantly, it does absolutely help us in reaching more audiences. I hope you're having an amazing day, and thanks again. So one thing you brought up, of course, being the authentic Asian, being such a core concept of authenticity. I think this is a word that has been used and is not always clear what exactly it comes through, and especially in the context of, you coming up and realizing, look, I'm going to be seen as either I'm going to be the tiger lady, the dragon lady, or like the cuddly panda Asian. And then you're like, fuck that noise. I'm going to be me. I'm going to be the me Asian. How did that metamorphosis come into place? How did you come to realize it, and how does it look in action?
So what happened is just that pitch is cute Asian or tiger Asian that happened to me. But I didn't realize how much it fucked me up until, many years later. It just really stuck with me for so many years.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it took me, what was it? 5 years later, after I gave birth to my first child, I was like, I really need to find myself. And I feel like Harvard's going to be the place to do that. And so I took many
Mm-hmm.
courses, authentic leadership, personal leadership development. And slowly, like, it's like following the breadcrumbs towards my ikigai, like kind of what I was brought
Mm-hmm.
on earth to do, what I'm meant to do. And the Woman of Color in Leadership course with Linda Hill is what solidified that, because I still remember she pulled up a chart. She pulled up this chart, and it had, African American women in one color, Asian women in another column. So like a column for each different ethnicity, culture, race. And it showed Asian women are inaccurately perceived as submissive and
Mm-hmm.
inaccurately perceived. They can't be both, she said out loud, they can't be both competent and kind. It's like
Mm-hmm.
almost an impossible
Yeah.
balance beam we have to walk. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I raised my hand. I said, this is what happened to me in Silicon Valley. And she
Mm-hmm.
said, that's exactly what you were experiencing. He was basically insinuating that you either had to be very cold, and so you'd
Mm-hmm.
be considered as competent, or you could be still your warm, kind self,
Mm-hmm.
but you won't be able to raise money. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was a huge aha moment. It was this beautiful space made at Harvard with just women of color, just networking, supporting each other, uplifting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Just, gosh, I had never felt so seen, because at all my other Harvard classes, it was like there were maybe two women, me and one other woman in the dorm, and the rest were all men. And so It just was like this really uplifting space I had never knew could exist in business. So when I got
Mm.
home, I was like, I need to join another one of these programs or communities, and I couldn't find anything. I was so frustrated. Nothing in the LA area for just Asian women or women of color. And so I
Mhm.
thought, oh my gosh, I have the tools. I have the personal branding. I have the following. Let me build
Mhm.
this. And just a couple months later, 2 months later, maybe, I founded the company. I launched on LinkedIn. We sold out all the initial founding seats within a couple months. It turned into a six-figure business in less than 90 days. Um,
Wow.
and I mean, a lot more happened after that. It's been kind of exhausting in some ways. But it's turned into this huge empire because
Yeah.
I believe in it so much. And so many things happened to me as a woman in business, being sexually harassed as well. I just
Mhm.
really wanted that safe space for myself and other women as
Mm.
well.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. How has the Authentic Asian, since launching the program and since leading it, how have it changed you?
I think it's really brought what's interesting is that because of some previous toxic relationships I've had and the way I see myself,
Mhm.
it took me so in Silicon Valley, it's almost like all my trauma and triggers were not triggered because I wasn't regularly dealing with women that much. There were so
Mhm.
few. I wasn't dealing with any Asian women except for that one race trader. And so not like
Oof.
I don't feel like I was triggered that much. With building this, it's really forced me to look at myself in the mirror and
Mhm.
look at all my demons, look at all my triggers, look at all the ways that I'm not the woman who I want to be.
Mhm.
And that's been really hard. Getting comments like telling a person telling you to your face you're not Asian because you're half Asian. Person telling you to your freaking face, I didn't believe that you could build this business because you were pretty and warm and charismatic. Like I'd swear at any big event, there's always one unqualified woman who should not be there, like who's maybe brought by a referral or just from my LinkedIn following. Like, why are you
Yeah.
here if you don't want to do self work and don't want to
Yeah.
be kind? And so almost every month I have to deal with something like that. So I've had to
Mm.
really build a stronger skin. And here I'm
Right.
going to just do a quick plug for a coach I'm working with right now. I just worked
Mm.
with her this week. She does NLP. And what happened is I went to her and said, Judy, you know, I'm not the woman I want to be. All these traumas, triggers,
Mm.
previous toxic relationships, they're all holding me back. And the Authentic Asian's this beautiful space, but I can't fully enjoy it because of all
Mm.
these demons I have. And so she's really
Wow.
helped me
Mhm.
work on changing my unconscious mind
Mm.
to look at all my previous trauma, triggers, all of that, and reframe it. And so that now I just feel so much better starting today. And I've released a lot of it. And so,
Wow.
yeah, it's really forced me to look into coaching and become stronger and more
Mm.
resilient. But it's
Mhm.
also given me so much hope because
Mm.
there's these beautiful women at the top that are
Mhm.
also kind. And so, like, we can defy that stereotype that's
Mhm.
put on us by society. We can still
Mhm.
both be competent and kind. I have the former
Mhm.
chief people officer of Harvard Business Publishing, Angela Simony, who's just this beautiful, kind woman. I remember when she joined, I thought, oh my goodness, you give me hope for the future that you exist as a C-level leader.
Mhm.
Or we've got
Yeah.
Alice Cow. She's the most successful female rock climbing gym owner in the world. And when I meet
Wow.
with her, I'm like, wow, you're the definition of a trailblazer.
Mm.
YPO member, wanting to give back, wanting to uplift other Asian women, get more Asian women to break the ceiling in entrepreneurship. Like these are women who are leading the next generation. And
Mhm.
I can't believe they exist. And I just feel so lucky that they just happen to follow me and join. Like I feel
Wow.
blessed to have them in my life.
Mhm. That's so powerful. You talked a little bit about how when you're working with the coach and overcoming those beliefs and becoming recognized, recognizing those beliefs and getting to overturn them. What was that process like, and where have you landed on it since this is still a very live, it sounds like, experience that you've been going through?
Yeah, I mean, it's still very raw because I literally just released everything. I think it was yesterday, so it was a very
Wow.
intensive process. I know that's why it's so fresh. But
Yeah.
it's been very interesting. Sometimes you think with your triggers, with your trauma, with all of your past,
Hmm.
that you're okay. And I think with
Hmm.
Asian men and women, we tend to just
Hmm.
try to stuff it, like put it
Yeah.
under the rug.
That's what we're taught. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what we're
Yeah.
taught in Asian
We don't talk
culture.
about feelings. We don't talk
Oh
about it.
my
My parents didn't talk about
God.
feelings. Our friends didn't talk about feelings. You took them and you
Yeah.
stuffed them down deep, and then you basically pretend that you're fine and tell everyone that you're fine.
And it's so important. Gosh, I can't even emphasize enough. Like if you can address it and do that work, it's so worth it. And that's a lot of the
Hmm.
time what I like to address in our membership. We have retreats. We're going to be doubling
Hmm.
down on retreats this next
Hmm.
year with coaches because I just see so much value in
Hmm.
mental health and addressing
Hmm.
that and
Hmm.
continuing to do the self work because that's how you can overcome the barriers to break the ceiling. And even if you've
Hmm.
already broken the ceiling, a lot of the women have given up and sacrificed a lot in the process. So now they're thinking, oh, I've already broken the ceiling, but actually I need to work on my higher self and I
Hmm.
need to get support. And
Right.
I went through a lot doing that. Like in Silicon Valley, that's what happened. I gave up my authentic self.
Hmm.
I put a lot of stuff under the rug just in order
Hmm.
to achieve success.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's not worth it. And you kind of almost need to backtrack to
Hmm.
see, okay, what happened here?
Hmm.
And there's not a lot of places where Asian women can do that, just
Hmm.
like fully addressing what they're going through.
Hmm.
And so we're really the only space that fully addresses that and provides that safe space.
So powerful. I wanted to come back to the competent and cute because
Mhm.
when you said that, like it was ringing bells in my mind. An Asian women cannot be both kind and competent at the same time, I believe was a quote, right?
It
So
is.
where did you land on that? Is that still true in your experience, or is there a way that you can be warm and kind and be who you are, and at the same time be seen as competent?
Well, I think that my members are, and that's why actually exactly who I look for in the membership. And it's funny
Mm.
because I posted, so I'm no longer posting about my accolades, or I need to reframe them in a certain way because so I actually took the word powerful out of the website
Interesting.
because
Why?
that attracts the wrong personality and people join for the wrong
Mm.
reasons. They join only to join for purely transactional reasons or um
Mm.
I really want to attract those women who are the oxymoron of that
Mhm.
stereotype, who are both
Mhm.
kind and competent, that you can be both at the top and have broken the ceiling. And it's like
Mhm.
finding a grain of sand in the haystack. I'm trying to manifest this right now. If you are that, please feel free to apply. It's like, and these women don't
Yeah.
even know this space could exist. So it's just like through my following, people happen to find it because women just don't even
Mhm.
think, like we just assume that this could not even exist because there's so few of
Wow.
us. Because not only are there
Mhm.
so few Asian women in leadership positions who have broken the ceiling entrepreneurship or C-level wise,
Mhm.
but then there's so few with that right mindset. And I
Mhm.
think the fact that there's so many women, I can list their names, who have broken the ceiling, who are this exact persona, that they're
Mhm.
kind, they want to send the elevator down, they want to give back, yet they're
Mhm.
insanely competent and successful, and they can
Mhm.
still be ambitious and not be a bitch. It's like that can exist, that world can exist,
Yeah.
and you can do that with the right
Mm.
mindset and the right training and the right peer mentorship and mentors and
Mm.
coaching. And if,
Mhm.
say you've given up yourself, you can still go back and do some self work to work on that.
Mm.
But
That's so
it is
powerful.
challenging.
Beautiful.
And I just still can't believe that comment of that woman that was like 1 or 2 months ago telling me to my face, like, I didn't think you could do it. I was thinking, oh my God, I never
This was
really
1 to
thought,
2 months
yeah,
ago? For some reason in my mind, I was like, this is at the beginning of
Well,
your
because she
career.
wanted to join the membership now because she saw like
Oh,
some
wow.
of her
Of
friends
course. Yeah.
join. I'm like, no, you're not joining.
No.
But
Yeah.
but the thing is that what happened is it actually it's funny because I've built such a thick skin. I've done so much self work that I wasn't that offended. I was shocked, but like I wasn't hurt by what she said. It was more curiosity. I was like, this is shocking that it comes from someone of my own race because I actually didn't
Uh-huh.
think that our own race perpetuated that stereotype. But it's actually like, and so it's more shocking when it comes from that.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
I like, oh wow, we're all on the same team, but
Yeah.
it perpetuates amongst everyone
Yeah. And I think that sometimes the like where it comes
when it
from
comes from
is there
that.
is that
It's
insecurity
like
that I
I
feel
like,
like
oh
when
wow, we're all
people
on the
show
same
up as
team,
registrators, when
but
they,
it
are actively trying
perpetuates
to
amongst
close the doors
everyone.
behind them, oftentimes it really comes from a fear. It comes from oftentimes they were brought up with a certain conditioning that this is who I have to be, and they've killed off so much of themselves that the idea of somebody else not doing that brings up that distrust, because it's like, well, I've been taught that I can't exist, so how can you exist? So I must somehow poke holes in you so that I can know that I'm actually still okay. And that is, it's to me, it's just tragic, but that's why it is that the work needs to be done. So, for somebody who is, let's say, listening, who is in their workplace and are trying to get to the top, are trying to connect with people and sponsors, and they're faced with this type of energy, what would you say to them?
Oh gosh, I'd say get the support you need. Get a coach. I have some recommendations within our community that specialize in helping Asian women.
Mm-hmm.
Get a
Anyone you want to name?
mentor. Nicole Song is amazing. Judy Sui is
Oh, Nicole,
amazing.
I love Nicole.
Nicole's
Yeah,
fabulous. She's so great.
yeah, yeah. We've had her on.
Those two especially help Asian women, but it really depends what the industry is, what I
Mm,
have so many different coaches, but those are the two that come to mind. It just depends what specific triggers
mm,
and issues they're having. Nicole is great with coaching around boundaries because that's another thing
hmm.
with Asian women. We just want to give, we're used to giving. And so
Yeah.
you need to set boundaries. A really big statistic, just statistically wise, in the corporate world, and it also happens in the entrepreneurship world too, white men still own the table. And so if you
Hmm.
can find a white male sponsor who actually genuinely wants to sponsor you, they listen to your ideas, they see the value you bring. Every single woman of color who's gotten to a leadership position, a C-level position in a Fortune 500 company, they had at least one white male sponsor. It's the only
Mm,
way it can work. And
right.
so you have to somehow find sponsors, mentors, at least one white male sponsor to break the
Hmm.
ceiling. And
Hmm.
that's kind of just the way it is. So just find
Hmm.
the people in your tribe. And
Mm,
I'm here to offer the community
of
for those
course.
women who need that safe space to gain strength, do self work, get support,
Hmm.
get coaching, and then go back
Hmm.
out into the world and conquer the world and defy the
Absolutely.
stereotypes.
Absolutely. So that sounds like a good segue for us to talk about the authentic Asian and where the offer and the program is at. Can you tell us a little more about it?
Yeah, so right now the current cohort is closed. We're going to be opening up another cohort of only 25 spots in the fall.
Mm,
I really want to keep it to no more than 250 women, between 200 to 250 women at all times.
hmm.
We also have two retreats happening. They're in locations such as Quebec, Hawaii, Orange County. We're going to be expanding to quite a few more locations.
Hmm.
My eventual vision is to have it, a retreat addressing toxic relationships and releasing toxic relationships, addressing
Mm,
intergenerational trauma, leveling up your C
mm,
level career. So, as we
hmm.
expand in the next 1 to 2 years, it's going to be this amazing core membership that
Hmm.
has virtual and in person offerings in your own city. And as you travel, where you can tap into a retreat once a year at the minimum. And
Mm,
so that's really where we're seeing it heading. And it's
hmm.
just been amazing that
And
has virtual and in
I've
person
been in this
offerings.
kind of world this type of work for a while, so I have an idea of what it looks like to be in these retreats. But I'm guessing for a lot of listeners who might not have had the past experience, can you just give us a little bit of peek inside, behind the curtain? What is it like to be at one of these retreats, and who do you have to be part of it?
Yeah, so women who first join, we have a member orientation where we onboard all the members, and it's just kind of shocking to some women because, we have some women in the deep south, so they're really not used to being on a Zoom call where it's like, wow, there's all these other Asian female leaders on
Yeah.
this call. And that's, to begin with, very exciting. But what's also exciting is the in person. So we have something called supper
Mm.
clubs. I went across 10 cities this last spring to do the supper club tour. And it's a group of 6 women in each city, members, some non members who want to learn more about membership. And that's where business happens. That's where magic happens. That's where
Mm.
women can lean on each other, get support, and potentially happen to do business with each other. We've had women
Mm.
raise $50,000, $100,000 for their startup at one. We had
Wow.
women get tens of thousands of dollars in clients at another. We had other women source divorce lawyers for their divorce, or, find a coach that they needed for self work. So it's like
Yeah.
this fabulous networking opportunity that's intimate
Mm.
in an Edwardian dinner where you go around the
Mhm.
room, say what you need help with, what you can help with, what you're challenged with. And so you're no longer feel alone and you feel more connected. And in
Mm.
cities like LA, San Francisco, New York, those happen multiple times, once a month at the minimum, sometimes multiple times a month,
Mhm.
from September through May. We take a
Mm.
huge break in the summer because everyone travels, but it's been magical to see. It's been magical to see the partnerships and the authentic relationships in business that have been created with
Mm.
that. And so it's
That's
like there's
beautiful.
these supper clubs, there's some networking, larger networking events because we have chapters with brand ambassadors.
Mhm.
And then, if they really want to dive deep, we have these retreat offerings on different
Mhm.
subjects and what they want to work on. And so,
Beautiful.
my dream is to eventually have one just for entrepreneurs, one just for C levels. So that's kind of like the bigger vision to keep making that larger impact on the world for Asian
Mm.
women.
Wow. I love that. How do people find out more about this and more about you?
AuthenticAsian.com. We're
Yeah.
opening up our next cohort in either September or October. So you can subscribe to the newsletter. You can also apply to our waitlist right now just by going
Mhm.
there. And you'll be added to the waitlist for the next cohort. We're only taking in 25 women for the next cohort. And just yesterday we got an application that we're adding. So, between July and
Yeah. Now it's 24.
September, we'll probably probably fill it up. That would be ideal. I just love it when a woman is the right culture fit and I don't have to vet. Like I can just almost tell with the way they fill out their application. So
Oh, amazing. Okay. Well, if you feel like this is something that's will get fit for you, definitely go onto authenticasian.com and fill us up. We are now at 24 seats and going down very quickly.
yes.
Thank you so much, Misa.
Thank
Before
you.
we close off, I just want to ask if there is something that you could say to yourself back when you were 20 and just starting off this whole journey. If you had like a quick thing to tell her back when you're starting off, what would that be?
I would say that just follow the breadcrumbs, enjoy the journey, and have faith in yourself and belief in yourself.
That's a big one. The ability to believe in ourselves is always where it starts at. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Misa, for your time today and all of the wisdom that you have shared. Definitely check out her work. This is talk about authenticity. I mean, this was so much focused around who we really are and being seen and allowing ourselves to be seen. This was such a powerful conversation. Thanks again, Misa.
Thank you so much. It was great connecting with you today, John.
It was so much focused around who we really are and being seen and allowing ourselves to be seen. This was such a powerful conversation. Thanks again, Misa.
Thank you so much. It was great connecting with you today, John.